Live Laugh Larceny discusses true petty crimes that may be disturbing to some.
Or could be easy listening to all you psychopaths out there.
All stories are based on actual events, but details may vary.
Listener discretion is not advised.
Live.
Laugh.
My esteemed listeners, today we gather not only to celebrate the timeless essence of motherhood, but also to bask in the brilliance of one of my favorite mothers. Known by many names, Patriot Poacher, Pumping Girl, the Cackling Female Host, and more. Yet to me, she is the embodiment of laughter, beauty, love, and boundless charisma. To my dearest Amanda, whose presence fills our lives with endless delight, on this auspicious day, I raise my voice to sing your praises. Your boisterous yet infectious laughter echoes through the corridors of time, keeping one-star reviewers awake at all hours of the night. As we commemorate Mother's Day, let us also pay homage to your birth, for it is a day of jubilation, marking the arrival of a soul so vibrant and true. To you, Amanda, I offer not just my admiration, but my deepest gratitude, for your friendship is a treasure beyond measure, a gift I cherish each passing day. So here's to you, my dear friend, my confidant, my fellow partner in crime. May your birthday be as radiant as your smile, as warm as a mother's embrace. Join me, dear listeners, in celebrating the remarkable woman in our midst. For in honoring Amanda, we celebrate the very essence of love.
No freaking way. Trevin, that was the best gift you could have ever given me for my birthday.
Oh, well, I'm glad. That was free.
No, seriously, Trevin, the best things in life are free. Whenever my husband Jordan asks me what to get me, I'm always like, write me a thoughtful letter. You know, just something nice. You know how I am with words of affirmation.
That's true.
So I loved that, and that meant so much to me. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I am going to be 33 this year. And actually, I think this episode comes out the day before my actual birthday.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I will be turning 33 tomorrow. Isn't that something?
So comment, give Amanda the birthday wishes.
Yes.
5-star reviews for Amanda.
5-star reviews, please. The next best birthday gift you can give me is a 5-star review.
Yeah, share our show around and help get us out so more people can tell her happy birthday.
Yes. Or, you know, do something in honor of me, like sing really loud during someone else's birthday and then mention the show afterwards, you know.
Or moon someone on the highway.
Or moon someone on the street. Yeah. And just be like, listen to Live Larceny as they drive away.
Yeah, write happy birthday, Amanda, on one of your ass cheeks when you moon somebody.
Whatever you do, just have a blast while doing it in honor of my birth. So thank you all.
Indeed.
Wow, Trevin, that was truly beautiful. But do you have a dreadful dilemma this week?
I do have a dreadful dilemma. And in honor of this being our Mother's Day episode and the Amanda episode, I just want to share a little thought I had recently.
Okay.
Since working a hybrid shift, I now work earlier on my days at home so I can just get my shift done earlier. So lately I've been getting up at like 6:30 in the morning. The house is still very dark, very quiet. And it's been reminding me a lot of my childhood when I was a little boy, when I would stay with my grandma all the time.
Oh, yeah, because your dad was out working and he worked early, right? Or
Yes.
where was it late? I can't remember.
I think it was super early because I remember being a small child where they would pick me up from my bed and I would just kind of wake up in a different bed sometimes.
Yeah.
So my dad was working odd hours and I would stay with my Meemaw. She loved singing bluegrass songs to herself. And she was a very big morning person.
Oh, wow.
So I remember how I would kind of wake up all like sleepy-eyed as a kid, and it would just be that very dim lighting, nothing harsh, just one of these weird little glass lamps. And she would have AM radio playing, and you'd always hear the sizzling of bacon and the echoing of her singing going over the cooking as she's just trotting around and making the same hearty breakfast every morning for her family.
Wow, that is a beautiful alarm.
So I have found that when I get up at these times, I turn on just one lamp and I log in and check my emails and stuff.
Sizzle some bacon?
I don't sizzle bacon. I'm too lazy. But there's a certain little piece that I find in that moment now, and it really reminds me of that feeling that I had back with her.
Oh, that's so cute.
If I become a morning person, it's because I just kind of enjoy that feeling more than anything else.
There's nothing better than just being reminded of a sweet moment from childhood, right? I mean, what's more pure than that?
Yeah, we all do not have a lot of those these days with all of the distractions.
Yes, when you find it, grab on and hang on to those moments because they are very special.
Yes, they are.
So is it just dreadful because you're getting up early and you might be a morning person? Is that what's dreadful about this? Because it sounds pretty lovely to me.
Yeah, it's pretty lovely. But the dreadful thing is, I kind of am becoming a morning person.
Oh, that is so cringy to even think about you.
I know, and Emily hates it.
I'm with Emily. I am definitely a night owl. I wish I could be more of a morning person. I just don't think it's in the cards.
I do like it now that I live with somebody who isn't a morning person because that's when you can have that time by yourself.
Yes.
Somebody might be a little sensitive to hear that. I'd be like, why would you want to be away from me? But it is very nice to just kind of have that time where it's just you and then sleepy cat or sleepy dog.
Maybe that's why I'm a night person, because Jordan's up at like 5 a.m, something like that, off to work. The night is my time, my time. Kids are asleep. He's asleep as well because he gets up early. Yeah.
We're just kind of working on schedules where we can find a little piece of serenity.
Yes. Serenity.
Our serenity schedules just aren't synced. That's okay.
That's okay. As long as we got that serenity.
Mm-hmm.
I also have a dreadful dilemma. This has nothing to do with Mother's Day or my birthday. This is something that has happened before those amazing days. And hold on, I need to pull up receipts real quick.
Uh-oh.
So, as some of our listeners may remember, I used to have an ADT security system.
Yes.
And as some of you also may know, I had to get a sign for my house that said, "No soliciting, please don't make it weird."
Because Jordan was too welcoming.
My husband was like, "Come on in, I'll buy whatever." Yeah, it was a problem. Unfortunately, regardless of my sign, I did have another salesman come to our home uninvited.
Oh, no.
However, we have been wanting to update our security system for years, and every time we've found another company that we're thinking of going, or maybe we're just trying to get a single camera or a Ring camera or whatever, it's always been like little parts and pieces, right? So we had this guy come from Vivint Smart Home. We'll decide if I need to bleep that out later or not. I'm not 100% sure what the jury will be. Okay. So we had him come by. He really somehow, regardless of my sign, made it through me, made it through to talking to Jordan, the whole thing. He had a bunch of really cool gadgets and security stuff that we wanted. We wanted a little light that if someone was by our cars, because as some of you might know from the past, my car was stolen from our driveway years ago. So like this light lights up and flashes if anyone's lurking around there, and it records. And we have a doorbell camera and a smart lock that we can lock from an app. We're like so fancy now, right?
Hell yeah.
Our security system's on fleek. We were really happy. I know no one says that anymore, on fleek, but here we are.
I was going to let it go. It's your birthday.
It's my birthday. Let me be old. So our security system is so good. We love everything about it. The only thing is that this salesman drove me batshit crazy.
Oh, no.
Okay. I don't really like the average salesman type anyway, but this guy was weirdly trying to make himself feel very comfortable in our home, to the point where it was kind of giving me a weird inner feeling. He used our bathroom 2 separate times and was in there for like a very, very, very long time for both times. Also, he was trying to play with my kids kind of and was like, "Come here, Arlo," trying to call my cat. I don't know. He was making himself very comfortable.
Wait, did you even tell him the cat's name was Arlo, or did he just already know from watching you?
Right? And then another thing that's kind of weird, okay? Because if it was just that, maybe I could be fine with that. Across the street from us, we have a rental home that's right now they're in between tenants. So no one's staying there and they're fixing it back up on occasion and blah, blah, blah. When I turned this dude down the first time, he ended up coming back the second night talking to Jordan. I wanted to know how he kept coming
He came back after you turned him down?
I basically was like, I don't know. I really don't have time for this right now. I kind of left it open, but I wasn't acting interested at all at first. He kept coming to our house as soon as we got home. And I'm like, what the hell? Is he just like lurking around? And I see him one of the nights, because he talked to us like 2 nights in a row. He like was in the backyard of the abandoned rental home and was walking over. And I was like, you know me, I can't not be direct. I was like, are you like on the back deck of that home across our street? And I said it really judgmental. Like, that's really weird. And he's like, oh, yeah, when I was, talking to all your neighbors, I was told that no one's staying here. So I'm just making my calls out there on the deck. And I'm like, that's weird as fuck. He didn't have a car. Just a lot of weird things like this, okay? Nothing crazy.
And you had already purchased security stuff from him.
Yes. So then, after it's all installed, and he didn't install it, so don't worry, guys. He's just the salesman. And then he waited for the installation guy to get there. As I'm trying to clean my house, trying to cook dinner for my kids, he's just in my living room for like a really weirdly long time. He eventually leaves, and then hours go by. The installer guy's putting it in. The kids go to sleep. It's late at night. And Jordan and I are like, woo. And he's like, I'm going to go step out there and see if the lights work. They worked. The lights were flashing. We go inside. The fucking guy comes out. This is like 9:30 p.m. at night. He comes out from the deck, still over there, and runs over to tell Jordan something else about the system. Okay. And so then Jordan and I watch him out the front window. A car ends up picking him up. He must not have his own car, but he ended up leaving the neighborhood. Okay. This is not the end of the story. He texts Jordan and I, which he both got our cell phones to like send us links to get us on the app and blah, blah, blah. He texts us the next day and says, hey, y'all, hope all is well. I wondered if I could swing by just to use the restroom real quick before I head out to work. He texts again. I'm answering some calls down the road, so thought I'd check with y'all before I walk in this rain to the subway down the road. I personally was like, that is weird as shit.
That is
You
bizarre.
are the salesman. I don't give a shit. I don't need to converse with you any further. You've done your job. You're not going to use my bathroom for the 3rd time days after our interaction.
You could probably get a free system with this.
So then, okay, so you think it's weird too, right? Okay.
I think so, yes.
So I just said, and I tried to be polite the first time, okay? I said, we are going to be leaving here soon, but we love the new system. He texts again. I'm like 2 minutes away nearby. If it is okay that I swing by real quick? If not, it's totally cool and glad to hear it. So I've already told him no, we're about to leave once in a nice way. So I said, we're busy this evening. Okay. Again, he says, no worries. Guys, I shit you not. 35 minutes later, he texts again. I can't make this up. He says, so sorry to bother you guys with this. I've tried my other customers, but the 4 of them since I got here either aren't home or the parents aren't home, and I get dropped off, so I have nowhere to go. I saw you were home when I went to try another customer, but no luck. If there's any way I can run in for 5 minutes to use the bathroom, that would be amazing. But again, no worries, and I don't mean to be a hassle. So I text this man for the 3rd time, and I said, we've already said we have plans, period. Okay? Last thing this guy says to me, no worries, not meaning to bother you. I wouldn't be asking if I had another option, but hope you enjoy your evening. Thanks again. Can anyone tell me, is that weird or not?
That is so weird.
I was spiraling. I was like, Jordan, people get weird attachments, and he was not thinking of it. He was going to let him come in and use the bathroom. He's like, oh, he's out in the rain. I said, I don't give a fuck. That is not our responsibility that this dude's out in the rain. I'm looking out for this as a protection of our family. You might think you can take this guy and you're not afraid of him, but people make weird attachments sometimes, and I'm not trying to allow any weird boundaries to be allowed, right?
Yeah, I mean, what if you and the family are all laying down to go to bed and your security system just goes, sleep tight?
I know. So I need for anyone out there that has listened to this long-ass dreadful dilemma of mine, please tell me what you guys think about that. I really need to know.
That's nutty. You could have almost made that a story.
No, I know. If it continued, I probably would have, but I haven't heard back from him. And honestly, my parents were like, you need to report him to the company. And I'm like, if he ever reaches out again, I am going to, because that's weird.
That is so weird.
Because he stopped after that. I'm going to let it slide for now.
Oof.
Why do I keep having these weird interactions with people in the wild? This is why I don't get out anymore.
You're cursed or something.
So, Trevin, we are going to be doing a round of 2 truths and a lie.
I've got 3 wires. Which one do I cut?
I'll give you 2 truths and a lie.
But wait, we don't have time for this. Girl, we are. And because I just want this to be the Amanda episode so bad that for your special day, I am going to give you 2 truths and a lie about reality TV.
Yes! I was born for this.
You were born for this.
Okay, I'm ready.
Statement number 1. The Bachelor House belongs to the senior vice president of Walmart. Statement number 2. The Netherlands once had a show where kidney transplant patients complete for a terminally ill woman's kidney. Or statement number 3. Robert Kardashian, OJ's attorney and the Kardashian sisters' father, started the business that plays songs between movies at theaters.
I thought that this would be more apparent to me. I'm going to go with A as the lie.
And you are correct on your birthday.
Yay! Oh my gosh. Okay. Tell me the reality.
So the real truth is that the Bachelor House actually does belong to a family. And
I did know that.
They move out for 42 days out of the year or twice a year or something like that. But I also found out that the house is actually on Airbnb.
Oh my God.
I saw a 2020 article about it, and in the article it said it was $6,000 a night. But that was in 2020. Do you want to take a guess, inflation-wise, what a night stay at the Bachelor House would cost you on Airbnb?
Oh my God. What did you say it was?
It was $6,000 in 2020.
$12,000?
$30,000 a night.
No.
Yeah, I went to its actual Airbnb posting.
Wow. Okay, I knew that it was like a wealthy family that owned the property, that they didn't live there all the time, you know. But I don't know. Maybe they have a really good deal with renting it out. I'm sure they probably make a ton by letting them film there and Airbnb-ing maybe.
Well, I mean, if you're charging an Airbnb $30,000 a night,
yeah.
I mean, just imagine what you're probably charging the Bachelor people
True.
a night. They've probably got it down to a science on, they know how to get their shit out of the house real quick because they have to redecorate it for whatever season of Bachelor they do. So they can't just reuse some of their decor.
It's so crazy though, because for me, I would never want to live in that mansion. So many haunted and tortured souls of lovers past.
And juices.
And juices. Come on.
So for the true things, the Netherlands did have a show called The Donor Show. Kidney transplant patients competed for a, quote, terminally ill woman's kidney. It turned out that the woman was not actually terminally ill. They told them that she was.
Oh, what?
She was an actress. But it's actually not as evil as you think either, because it was done by the Organ Donors Association or whatever to raise awareness that they did not have enough donors.
Whoa.
So they sort of made it seem like a really dystopian, terrible game show. And the contestants really were people looking for donors.
And it probably made people fall in love with them that saw them. And
every time a text came in for the voting, because they would do voting for who would get to go forward, which was each text would get a certain donation to the transplant people or whatever. How
sad that this is the level we have to take things to just to bring awareness to people needing their kidneys.
Yeah, it's offensive, but at the same time, it's like, you're the people doing the good thing, so it's not offensive. And Robert Kardashian did pioneer a company called Movie Tunes that I guess it used to just play ads in between movies at movie theaters. But then he came up with the idea of selling them as ads to record labels. If you pay attention to the movies, it's always like, Here's Jack with the song Butt Cheeks A Achin' from the 1927 hit Crunch. And after the song's played, then they'll also say, and that was Jack. And then they just do it again. And it's a way to help market those songs to people who have to kind of be forced to hear it.
Yeah, I guess I never really noticed the music preview, but now that you're giving that really hysterical example, yeah, I have heard that. Huh.
So the idea of that was pioneered by him. And a lot of people were talking shit online that I saw it were just like, oh, well, he didn't come up with it. Like movie theaters used to have a piano guy that used to play songs in between movies. It's like, I get it. He didn't invent that music was being played between.
Mm-hmm.
He invented using that as a way to create revenue.
Mm-hmm.
Do I love that?
No,
but
that's kind of what the Kardashian brand is all about. Well, Trevin, I also have two truths and a lie. So I'm not trying to make this episode also about me, okay?
Well, now's the time to do it if you want.
But I am going to give you two truths and one lie about events occurring on my birthday of May 9th throughout history.
Ooh, that's fun.
I tried to make them at least a little bit interesting. Let me give you all of the statements here and you tell me which one was not done on May 9th. Statement number 1, May 9th, 1964. Kellogg's Company starts selling their very first Pop-Tarts. Statement 2, May 9th, 1949. Pianist and musician Billy Joel was born. And statement number 3, May 9th, 1960. The first birth control pill was approved for use.
Birth control, very feminist. Pop-Tarts feels pretty real. Yeah, I'm going to go with statement number 2 is the lie.
And I'm sorry, Trevin, the Pop-Tarts is the lie.
Damn. I feel like I just had a connection with you and Pop-Tarts. Maybe I'm just thinking of our Toaster Strudels episode.
Well, I also sometimes bring them in and half eat them while I'm in your presence, so that might have done it too.
Yeah, you can be at my house for like 2.5 hours, come in with 3/4 of a Pop-Tart, and throughout the span of the whole time, leave about 1/4 of it.
I know, it's horrible. To give you the actual truths, Pop-Tarts was sold by Kellogg's starting on September 14th of 1964. So I used the correct year, but not on my birthday. I wish it was. That one is badass. I wish. But you know what also is badass is that me and Billy Joel share the same birthday, everybody. He was born in 1949, and I love him. I've always loved Billy Joel's music. I've seen him live when he came to Kansas City. I heart Billy Joel.
And I've always thought of you as a piano man.
Yeah, I am a piano man, right? I can't play the piano, but hey.
Ugh.
Also, May 9th, 1960, the first birth control pill is approved.
The birth of birth control.
The birth of birth control on my birthday. So the U.S. Food and Drug Administration announced that it would add birth control as a new indication for the drug called Invoid.
Invoid.
When I was a kid, I had one of those fun little books that was like, May 9th, and it gave you all the celebs or famous people born, and it gave you all the fun facts. But, I mean, it was for kids. I wasn't learning about birth control in this book, so I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that would probably be recalled.
It certainly would. But you know what products you don't want to recall?
Your security system?
We'll see. But no, let's listen to some ads.
Hey, creepy people. This is PNW Haunts and Homicides. I'm Caitlin.
And I'm Cassie.
Together, we explore stories of the paranormal and true crime throughout the Pacific Northwest. For each episode, we do a tarot reading to help us gain some insight on the topic as we share the facts of the case and our interpretations. You can find our episodes featuring true stories from infamous cases such as the misdeeds of Boeing, as well as lesser-known true crime cases like the murders in Tunnel 13.
As well as our spooky stories from Pike Place and Raven's Manor on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you'd like to listen. Have a creepy-ass day.
And we are back.
Hi.
And for your birthday, it is my week to go first, so you get to chillax a minute.
Gonna lean on back and relax.
And for your birthday, I got you a gift.
Oh.
And that gift is a date.
Oh.
Like a date and time.
Oh. Well.
I forgot to look the date up before
Okay.
doing this bit. So I'm going to look it up and I'm going to splice it in here.
Okay.
It's September 7th, 2022.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
But the date I just gave you
Uh-huh.
was the date of the last time I told a personal story.
No.
And I know how much you love a personal story.
I do.
Honestly, I've told some big stories lately.
Yeah.
We've gone very large. And maybe part of me gets a little scared going small again, after being able to tell the stories of like manipulated beasts of science and stuff like that. But I got to remember that we were founded on the small things.
Truly. I felt the exact same way. You just explained it perfectly. When I've been doing a few personal things lately, I was like, these are so minuscule. No one knows about them. This is just happening in my world. But we used to do them all the time.
Yeah, I just went through a big strange news phase, and I thought, you've been going personal a lot recently. We've got some listener stuff coming up.
Yeah.
It's feeling very old school, kind of,
Yes.
So I thought, let's look back and let me come out and do a personal story again.
Yay! Oh my God, I have no idea which one you're going to do.
You will know the story, but you might not remember it as well as you think. I don't know.
Damn. Okay.
So let's get personal, people. And here we go. When this show began 3 years ago, personal stories were a big part of what we did. The first story ever told was the true tale, Beware the Night Puncher, about the unknown man who ding-dong punched unsuspecting victims during a spring in my small town. It was a great chance for me to dip my toe in the stylings of our show while letting our listeners learn a little bit about me. But I knew stories of this nature were not sustainable. After all, I'm not Forrest Gump. Do you really think an introvert from small-town Missouri has a backlog of memories large enough to satiate a crowd of millions? I don't think so. Amanda may, but not me. Since the Night Puncher laid his fist on our show, I have shared a handful of stories from my life. There was the house party where the money got stolen, family members that smuggled semi-trailers, and of course, the katana-wielding thieves I encountered during audio school. Each one just as bizarre and petty as the last. And at the center of these stories was me, an introspective, depressed kid who's constantly confused by the actions of others. So in the spirit of reminiscing on the time I used to tell personal stories, why don't I take a look back and recount a scandalous moment from my 20s? A time before Emily, when the only loves in my life were boots and music. In 2015, I found myself engulfed in my own personal age of expressionism. The creative drought that had plagued me the years prior had finally ended, springboarded by the dismantling of my most challenging relationship. As I trudged the plains of desolation, picking up the remnants of my past loves lost, I searched for anything that could bring me relief. It was amidst the rubble of broken dreams that I stumbled upon a glimmer of hope, a haunting melody that restored a sense of beauty to my pain. It started as a vibe, something faint and reclusive that moved through me. Each day, more and more details of it would come, until I was finally able to harness it using my guitar. Once one piece of the puzzle became clear, more and more came to join it, until an entire creative collection was formed. This album would be the perfect autobiographical retelling of my journey through a difficult breakup, my tortured poets department 9 years before Taylor. For the next 6 months, my nights and weekends were spent recording instrument tracks, mixing the results, and wailing emotional lyrics in my small apartment bedroom. All sadness from the breakup was channeled into this work, attempting to close the chapter once and for all. And it did. Once the album was pressed and put to streaming services, I was able to move on, knowing that the feelings could live on in art forever. Despite the incredibly low amount of listens I received, I was on top of the world. There was a new kind of confidence I was carrying, knowing that I was able to finish a project without getting in my own way. The personal victory was the prize all along. The time after this achievement was spent trying to get back out there. I was learning about the different people in my local dating pool, while still searching for positive reasons to continue trying in life. It was during this time that I got my first notification from Becky. "I stumbled upon your music on Facebook, and I really love it. It's so personal," the message stated, followed by a smiley face. I clicked on the profile of Becky Fake Namey and did a little bit of snooping. The girl exuded a very quiet online demeanor. She didn't take the most confident selfies. A lot of pictures had a younger kid in them, and she was in a relationship with a linked profile that also seemed active. Initial checks were good. I had no reason to suspect this to be a scam of any sort, a regular process I do with anyone I communicate with. In a time of discovery, I decided to strike up a conversation with Becky. She talked about how she had always been drawn to very sad things, and I used her acceptance as an invitation to spill my guts about all the emotions I had been processing.
I was framed for the crime of falling in love.
We had become online pen pals, living somewhere in the near vicinity, needing no more from each other than what we already had. She told me about her home life, how she and her long-term boyfriend got custody of her little brother after an unexplained event happened in their past. They didn't make much money between the two of them, but they lived within their means and found happiness in the little things. I admired Becky's selflessness and enjoyed sharing a couple messages a day to be supportive. Over time, Becky began to let me into her personal life a little more, namely the introduction of her two closest friends, Ashley and Jenna. Together, this witchy girl group loved to drink wine, wear black, and take moody pictures in graveyards.
Am I sexy for you, Satan?
It seemed like innocent enough fun to me. Initially, the conversation began with Becky mentioning they enjoyed my music. "My best friends really liked your song," Becky exclaimed, leaving the door open for further mentions of them. With this knowledge in mind, a few days later, I received a picture message. The picture was of two witchy-vibed women posing on a back porch. On the left was a blonde girl, standing stoic and menacing, while on the right was a redhead, stealing the attention with her exaggerated stance and wide mouth expression. It was clear that this was the outgoing one of the group. I asked Becky why she wasn't in the photo, but her response came off defeated. "No one likes to hold the camera. Jenna wants to be in every picture," she said, explaining that Jenna was the big personalitied redhead on the right. The more Jenna entered conversations, the more I noticed a natural resistance from Becky. Even in just a text communication, the tension was there. As quickly as she came up, Becky would be prepared to change the subject. But no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't keep her out. Days later, I received another message from Becky. "Ugh, Jenna won't stop bugging me for your screen name. Just give me the word and I'll tell her to fuck off," the message read, leaving me excited and conflicted. Although I had picked up on all the subtle signs of Jenna's uncomfortable presence, there's one thing I've yet to tell you about her. She was pretty hot. Her pale skin and red hair, juxtaposed with her witchy goth style, really cast a spell on my nether regions. Even though her exaggerated poses and pictures reflected a larger-than-life personality that frankly scared the shit out of me, I couldn't escape the fact that it was attractive. Ignoring the red flags, I chose the red hair, giving consent to further my connection with the hazardous Jenna.
Hey dude, I love your music. It's so hot that you play all of those instruments.
The first message read. My guard was down and my arousal was high. This girl had the perfect words for disarming an emotional musician. I was hooked. From then on, I was keeping up my friendly conversation with Becky, while also chatting with the more outgoing friend, Jenna. Things with her only intensified from the first message, quickly escalating to her sending me multiple nudes in black and white filter. When I would talk to Becky, she would tell me that Jenna was constantly rubbing it in her face that I was giving her more attention. Again, I could sense how minimized Becky felt around Jenna. It was no secret that their relationship was unhealthy, but I was too new to the situation to say anything. Plus, Becky kept calling Jenna her friend and hanging out with her. It didn't feel like my place. With a week or two of chatting, Jenna had passed all of my checks. She was pretty odd, but she was certainly real. We even had this cute little dynamic where she would call me kid, because I was 25 and she was much older at 29. Many boob pics were sent until Jenna's lust could no longer be contained.
Hey, we should meet sometime.
Her message read, drenched in desire. I agreed, but had my own set of stipulations for the encounter. Although I may have seemed foolish seeing this through, I was still being smart. I watch way too many horror movies to put myself in an unsafe situation, and I'm a feminist, so being a male did not give me an illusion of safety. With my prudish rules enforced, we set a date to meet in a public park in the middle of the day. Whether this girl was looking for a hookup or not, she was going to get a very innocent, well-lit first meeting with me. It was better to be awkward than sorry, I thought to myself. If she was cool, it would still be a nice time, and we could always change venue afterwards. I arrived at the park first, allowing myself time to get comfortable with my surroundings, and also internally freak out a bit too.
I can do this.
Every car that passed immediately had my attention, as I tried my best to see her before she saw me. Fashionably late, her green car eventually pulled up next to mine as she hopped out to greet me.
Hey, kid.
She said with an excited yet nervous tone. I looked at the goth girl before me as her black clothes soaked in the beautiful park sun. She seemed harmless, a lot shorter than I imagined, but not a problem. My only issue at that moment was the big reflective aviator glasses she was wearing. Do you know how to get the worst version of a self-conscious person? You make them look at themselves the entire time. I didn't really want to draw attention to my discomfort with the glasses. After all, I'm kind of an odd guy, and a lot of small, quirky things irritate me. It was a sunny day. The girl has the right to wear sunglasses. Beginning our walk around the park, Jenna shared her dreams of moving to Colorado to start her own all-natural perfume business. When she spoke about it, there was a lot of brushing over details and yada-yadaing. I remember that sticking out to me, but she was holding a great conversation, and I wasn't having a bad time. We snuck through some trees and stood in a creek, and had an all-around nice flirty time. She even challenged me to grab her butt in public.
Touch my hiney, big boy.
But I was too bashful to do it.
Maybe later.
At the further part of the park, we sat at a resting bench. Sitting beside one another, I caught glimpses of her eyes from the side. I remembered thinking her eyes looked a little sunken in, or not quite how I expected them, but I wasn't too sure. She had asked me if I'd ever wanted to have kids. I told her I was open to it, but it would have to be with the right person. Her, on the other hand?
Absolutely not. I'm a pretty selfish person, and I've got too many things I want.
Her reaction really stuck out to me as odd for some reason. Like the idea was the most heinous question imaginable. Throughout our entire walk, clouds had been rolling in. It was still a very nice day, so I didn't expect much from it. But as we were on that park bench, it began to rain. It started as a slow trickle, but took no time at all to turn into a torrential downpour. The second the rain turned heavy, Jenna jumped up and began running.
Let's run through the rain!
She yelled, prancing through the park like a gothic gazelle. At first, I tried to keep my cool. There was no doubt that I was about to be soaked, but did I really want to add the turnoff of her seeing me run on top of it? I worked my pace up to a decent trot while she slowed herself down to meet me in the middle. I could tell that her Colorado all-natural perfume-making ass had spent many a time frolicking through the rain and feeling free. But this was extremely wild for me. Feeling excited by the situation and encouraged by the flirtatious cues she had been sending my way, I decided to go with the flow. I reached out, grabbing her hand and pulling her close. Like a cliche scene from a romantic movie, I had been caught in the rain. We stood in the middle of the park, lips locked and feeling steamy. Although I had a lot of uncertainty for Jenna, I couldn't deny the atmosphere of the rainy park. The kissing continued until I was just too wet to go on. We ran back to my car, where the macking continued.
Hot dog!
Whether it was the physical touch or her willingness to put my tongue in her mouth, I began to feel a lot more comfortable with Jenna. There had been plenty of talk from her online about wanting to hook up, but my self-consciousness kept telling me that she would change her mind when she actually saw me. Because of this and my initial bashfulness, I probably didn't come off as very interested. However, my heart belonged to the rainy makeout sesh. "We can go someplace else if you'd like," I said with very intense bedroom eyes. But her response was not quite what I expected. Instead of following through with the advances she had tried with me previously, she pulled back.
Maybe we should take this slow. I'd really like to see you again. You've got my number. Let's make a plan for next week. I already made plans with Becky tonight, so I better not leave her hanging.
Slightly disappointed, I disconnected my logical brain from my horny brain. She was being smart about this. I probably didn't even really want to have sex with her that day, but if I could have made love with the situation, I certainly would have. We ended up parting ways, waiting to see if our passions would reignite or fizzle at a later time. "You're not afraid to take risks," I would say to myself anytime I caught my reflection in a mirror. It felt good being spontaneous, and it felt even better having someone accept my mouth on theirs. That evening, I received a message from Becky asking how the date with Jenna went. By that point, my excitement had subsided a bit. I responded with more level-headed observations, not letting the rain scene fog my memory. However, Becky's responses were growing shorter and more concealed. "I need to tell you something, but you need to promise not to tell Jenna first," she said, starting a weird panic inside of me. I promised, especially since my loyalty lied with my long-term pen pal. The details that followed changed everything I thought I knew about Becky, Jenna, and their entire dynamic at large. She first began with details about the little brother she struggled to take care of. Jenna is his mother, she told me, explaining Jenna's carelessness towards her own child. Her parents have had medical issues for years, so I've raised him with what little help they can provide. Why you? I asked, not sure why anyone would do such a selfless act. The response I got in return was the bombshell that opened my eyes entirely. He's my brother, she said. Jenna's my mom too. My jaw fell off my face and into another dimension. I was speechless and recounting past situations from a different lens. Jenna wasn't the adventurous hot friend that constantly took advantage of her shy best friend. This was way worse and way more complicated. Becky went on to explain that Jenna left her with her grandparents after she was born, having only returned to give birth to Becky's brother. By the time Jenna came back into Becky's life, Becky was already a grown woman, leading Jenna to request that they keep their relationship as just friends. But then the wrinkle of the brother came up. Through my extensive amount of questioning, I uncovered that Jenna had the baby, chose to do her own thing, and the family had to find a way to take care of it. Becky's brother was raised knowing Jenna as his sister's friend and not his mother. Jenna was actually a 42-year-old woman who has no job or steady place to stay. According to Becky, Jenna carries a large roster of, quote, young attractive guys who she would get numerous amounts of cash and free gifts from, her green car included. When she heard of me, she again steamrolled her friend and inserted herself in the middle of our relationship, asking Becky not to tell her the truth and to tell her she's also in her 20s. I felt so bad for Becky, but a lot of my trust was broken at that point. Ignoring so many of the red flags I saw in their situation left me feeling kind of gross. I just got out of a really bad situation that I saw a lot of red flags in, so the quick reintroduction did spark my PTSD a bit. With everything out in the open, I expressed my concern for her relationship with her mother. She was receptive, and we continued to be friends for a bit longer. Naturally, the bond we had formed began to weaken as the messages became more and more sparse. Jen and I's relationship ended even more quickly, as Becky's confession led me to emotionally shut myself off from her. She eventually stopped trying and lost interest. Over time, I watched their online statuses change from available to offline, sometimes lyrics to their favorite emo songs, until our connections reached a most tragic fate. I got signed out of the app we talked on and didn't care to recover my password. I shared this story because I know Amanda loves scandal, drama, and a good personal story. Oh, and I also double connect with the holiday by having a surprise mom twist. Amanda actually plays a big role in this memory for me, as she was the first person I called to dish the piping ass tea to. That call must have been an hour long. As for the petty part of it all, I hope I wouldn't need to spell this one out to anyone. The many crimes against Becky, the strange family dynamic, and the fact that I almost became part of Jenna's pyramid scheme of sugar daddies in training. There's plenty to choose from. Although I don't actually mind being preyed upon in this situation, as I'll always remember this story as the time I was told I belonged in a roster of, quote, young attractive guys. That part boosted my confidence. My main sadness was for Becky, and how limiting her life must have felt, constantly working through the destruction of her mother, still playing polite and going along with her wishes, almost letting her possibly scam a friend. All for, well, I can't really speak for her. Whatever it is that she's looking for in that connection with her mother is enough to keep her putting up with it. I can't fault her for it when I know I've been in similar situations with people who constantly took away my power. And this concludes another rare personal story from yours truly. A step back into my post-breakup era of dating. A time where this story happened, and the old Halloween tale when I dated a ghost. A lot of experiences happen when you're flailing through life, but I don't regret the lessons they bring. Sure, each awkward situation encountered or mistake made is the product of taking a chance, but so is every huge accomplishment. If you choose to learn from each one of the bad times, you can consider that lesson your mail-in rebate. I'm a strategic yes man. If I feel mentally prepared for an experience, I'll follow the rabbit hole of life for a good story. That's the kind of stuff you can't fit on your social media feeds. We should all take more chances, because any chances you take has the ability to change your entire life, or at the very least, get you caught in the rain with a MILF.
How did I forget about that?
I wondered how, you've had kids,
As soon as you were going, though, I was like, that was her mom. It came back to me, but I was like, oh my God. I know it's not that long ago, but 2015 feels like a long time ago.
Oh, hell yeah, it does. Especially for you. That was before you even had Lila.
Yeah. I got married that year, actually, 2015. So maybe this is another weird dating situation, but didn't you end up in like a run-down, creepy building with like people squatting in it. I thought that was with that same gal.
No.
Different situation?
That was different.
Okay. For some reason, I was waiting for that part too.
Nope.
You've had a lot of weird dating things happen.
I have. And I actually was thinking that I don't know if people even like these personal stories. Maybe they're like, get to the crimes, you fool. Quit talking about yourself.
I love them.
But I thought more about it, and there is a bonus story that I once did for a different show that I could rewrite and make a trilogy of that year of dating, probably.
Right. Is it the situation I'm talking about or a different one?
No, like the real scandalous one.
Oh, yeah.
If I wanted to go full-blown out there, I could do a third one.
That one would be sexy.
I wouldn't want my mother to hear.
Oh my God, that one was so good too. But I remember when we found out that she was way older than what she was.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember you had shown me pictures of her and I was like, there's no way.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe she was using some good filters. I mean, it's pretty easy to make yourself look younger in photos. And then she was wearing those big sunglasses, so you never got the full appearance. And maybe you would have been like, whoa, you're double my age.
Yeah, that might have been where that was like the thing she was the most self-conscious about that showed her age.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, she was a small, more petite woman who just had a very youthfulness about her. I mean,
she's frolicking in the damn rain.
Yeah, all natural perfume making and stuff. She doesn't have to work a job, so that must keep you from looking aged, I suppose. And here's another thing too. I don't know if drugs played any part in any of this.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, from my time talking with Becky, which we had a pretty decently long relationship of talking, I think they drank wine and stuff, but I don't believe she ever said anything about doing any type of drugs.
Okay.
Now, when you hear about this mom who has a kid, runs off to another state for like 18 years, comes back to give birth to another kid, and then continue to do her thing locally while still not taking care of them,
yeah,
you would think that drugs play a part in it.
I mean, maybe she was as completely honest as she could be in that moment when she's like, I'm selfish. I mean, it's wild to me that she said, I would never have them, because it's like, you have too.
Yeah, you did have them.
Yeah, but when she was saying, I'm too selfish, I want to do my own thing, I think that was 100% the honest part of it, which is so disturbing.
Yeah, it just came flooding back when I was told that. I was like, oh my God, like she really didn't want kids.
Yeah, that is so messed up.
I feel so bad because Becky is obviously a soft-spoken person who doesn't speak out. And then to have a toxic mother show up like this, and you still play along with the game of like, oh, you're still my friend. That other friend, Ashley, or that I called Ashley, the third friend in the friend group, like they were probably just a twosome. And then out of nowhere, this mom shows up, says, call me friend, and I'm just going to hijack all your hangouts, and then we're going to be a friend group for 3 years.
That is so disturbing. Hey, kid, I'm going to abandon you throughout life, but then I'm going to come back unexpectedly and try and take over your whole world. Yeah, that's pretty damn diabolical and selfish.
And on top of the whole thing with the duping young men into paying stuff for her.
Yeah. Did she ever get that far with you? Apparently not. She never asked you for money, right? Or
no,
anything?
She never asked me for money. She was trying to get me to hook up with her pretty quickly. And I think she would have played the long con with me a little bit longer had I not just completely stonewalled after. And it was the first conversation after seeing each other. So she probably just thought I wasn't interested and just kind of continuing off of that.
Yeah.
Which you probably could have gotten me to hang out again.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if I would have known she was 42. Ow, wow, wow. Sorry, lady, you shouldn't have pretended you were younger.
Seriously, just be honest. But I'm glad that you didn't give her any extra time, because clearly she sucks.
She sucks. And I also remember the 2 conversations we had on that walk. It was the no kids thing. And she had also told me that she was living in a house with multiple women in it, and a man like ran the whole house. And I don't know what that was about. I mean, she wasn't giving away any like crazy bad details about it. It seemed like she was free to do whatever she wanted in it. But I remembered she had told me that's how she had a room right now. And I thought, what kind of weird house is this?
Yeah. What are the power dynamics within this household?
Yes.
Whoa. Okay. I do remember something with her about the house, but yeah, I think I'm still combining the two. That was a really wild time. I remember even in the moment I felt bad for Becky, but also at the same time I was like, don't let her do this, but it's hard, especially when you're the kid and that's your parent. It's hard to set boundaries.
Yeah, and that's why I couldn't really speak for it. There's a certain kind of connection that comes between a toxic relationship that you can't really define or fully grasp unless you're the person in it. And they're very tough. And it's really terrible that it looks like it's pretty much taken up most of her life and skewed it in a direction that probably isn't where she wanted to be.
Yeah. And you never met Becky in person, right?
I never did meet Becky in person.
Okay.
Her boyfriend would talk to me too. I mean, I had done a lot of checks throughout the months of talking.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure she was real. I'm sure she was. I mean, why would a fake person say that, you know? That would ruin everything. Damn, what a story. And yeah, as you were telling it, it was all coming back to me. I remember the rain. I remember being out in the wilderness. I guess it's a park, but I remember you said you guys were just out in the trees. And wow, it's all coming back. All coming back to me now.
That's back when I was adventurous.
Oh, Trevin, weren't we all? I also have a story for you all.
I'm excited to see what you've brought for this day.
Oh my God. I am actually very excited about this story. I told you I was earlier. I was also inspired by Mother's Day coming up. My story, though, is from the news. And it's one of those news stories that I had to connect a lot of dots on my own. But that's, I think, all I'm going to say. And here we go. On this podcast, we've tried our best to dissect some of the world's pettiest criminal behaviors. We've connected many crimes to hunger or lust, even a few with both. Hunger lust, you may call it. While other times, the immorality has been more about the lawbreakers themselves and their personality types. Our stories are filled with overbearing bosses, annoying lovers, and characters desperate for something that doesn't belong to them.
I need this.
Still, there is one petty criminal profile we've yet to discuss in depth. A personality type more common than anyone would probably like to admit. One that I guarantee you have all experienced at one point in your lifetime. And that is a toxic mama's boy. A toxic mama's boy isn't someone who enjoys getting tea with his mother frequently or asks her too often for advice.
Cheers, Mom. Let's talk about life.
That is called a normal and loving son. A toxic mama's boy is someone who relies heavily on their mother without giving back any respect in return. Examples of this may include a mother who paid for her son to attend a prestigious college, only to never receive a text or call on holidays.
No new messages.
Or a man who continues to live with his mother in adulthood, only to complain every night she makes a homemade dinner.
Mom, you know I like my steak well done.
Not only is this torturous for all the women that birthed these callous leeches, but also for the rest of society that's forced to encounter them. 26-year-old Zachary Tintoni lived in Southington, Connecticut in 2013. And as I'm sure you've all guessed, he was indeed a toxic mama's boy. Zachary needed his mom for daily tasks like doing his laundry, making his work lunch, and giving him regular pep talks.
You're not so bad, honey.
Yet, regardless of all his mother's unconditional love, Zachary had a difficult time reciprocating. He often yelled at his mom for sending him to work with embarrassing love notes packed into his sack lunch.
Damn it, Mom.
Or for not scrubbing out all of the skid marks left in his undies.
You know I had Taco Bell last night.
Instead of accepting the love from his mother, Zachary acted out with each sign of affection, both at home and out in public. He had racked up quite the rap sheet with local authorities over the years, including criminal mischief, driving with a suspended license, and multiple counts of larceny. Instead of therapy, Zach chose theft. Instead of dignity, Zach chose dishonor. And instead of a life filled with happiness, he chose pettiness. Deep down beyond all his toxicity, Zach loved his mother dearly, but there was no way he would ever let her know that. Each time he left the house, Zachary would take something with him that reminded him of his mom. He was carrying a picture of him and his mom in his back pocket when he pickpocketed strangers walking down the street. And he was taking his mother's beloved car out for a spin when he was pulled over and reported for driving without proper identification. Zachary's mom didn't approve of his illegal behavior, but she would never let him know that. She never wanted to upset him, even if he was the one continuously getting himself in trouble. With Zachary's desire for crime rising, as did the enabling from his mama. It only makes sense that on a warm summer night, tensions would boil over. As the mother and son sat down for a late dinner, an argument was immediately ignited by Zachary over the firm dinner rolls. He threw the tough dough against the dining room wall and began an adult version of a fit. He then ran up to his room and packed an overnight bag, pausing to decide which items reminding him of his mom he would take with him. Quickly, he grabbed a heartfelt letter his mom wrote him while he was away at college, plus his birth certificate, along with a change of clothes and toiletries. He sprinted back downstairs, clutching onto his overnight bags, when he turned to his mother and said,
"I'm going for a drive. Don't come looking for me."
Zach drove for hours until he found himself crossing over into the Massachusetts state line. It was pitch black out, causing him to check the car clock. It was nearing midnight at this point when he found himself on the main road in an unfamiliar city. Zachary was tired from his meltdown and decided to park and rent himself a hotel room for the night. Unfortunately, as soon as he stepped out of his car with his overnight bags in hand, he realized he had left his wallet at home. Instead of panicking, Zach looked around for his next pickpocket victim. Right at that moment, he spotted someone walking across an empty and dark school playground, alone. He thought about getting back into his car and driving back home for the night, but he hyped himself up with his mother's words instead.
You can do anything you want, sweetheart. Just stay out of jail. For your mama.
With his black overnight bag still in his hands, Zachary ran towards the schoolyard. He approached the lone stranger from behind. They appeared to be a woman with long dark hair, carrying a small clutch bag in her hands. She let out a frightened yelp as she spotted Zachary, but this didn't deter him from snatching up her sparkling clutch. Zach laughed as he ran through the darkness with the clutch in his hands until he suddenly felt a metal beam smashing up against both ankles. He tripped over a metal playground balance beam, knocking the wind out of him and his overnight bags out of his hands. Zachary desperately searched for his bags, but they blended into the darkness surrounding him. Plus, his victim had seen his fall and was running toward him with vengeance in her voice, yelling,
I'm coming for you, you klutzy crook!
Zach lifted himself off the ground and dashed away with the woman's clutch, reluctantly leaving his overnight bags behind. The clutchless woman stood in the schoolyard, defeated that her ID, cash, and public transportation pass were all inside her clutch. However, she did still have one useful personal item still in her hand, her cell phone. The woman dialed 911, recounting the robbery to the operator, and searched the area with her phone flashlight for clues. Still on the call, she found one of Zachary's overnight bags and looked inside. Within the bag, she found a few clothes and shoes, but digging underneath, she found the suspect's birth certificate and a letter written from his mom. The woman stopped talking on the phone as she scanned the lovely letter, filled with compliments and excuses for the man who just robbed her.
Ma'am, are you okay?
The operator asked on the other line.
I'm afraid this isn't just any larcenist.
The woman's voice trembled as she continued.
We're dealing with a toxic mama's boy.
Just before midnight, on Monday, June 24th of 2013, an unidentified woman reported her clutch stolen from a schoolyard in Dorchester, Massachusetts. She stated that a man had followed her, grabbed her clutch from behind, and ran away. The woman's clutch contained her ID card, $40 in cash, and a reusable public transit ticket. However, she wasn't the only one missing her personal items. At some point during the robbery, the man dropped 2 black overnight bags on accident and left them behind during his getaway. Inside the bags was clothing, hygiene products, and a pair of sneakers. Yet more importantly, one of the bags contained the man's birth certificate, identifying him as 26-year-old Zachary Tintoni, born in 1987. Inside was also a letter sent to him from his mama. It was around 1:35 a.m. the same evening when officers on patrol spotted a man matching the suspect's description, only a block away from the crime scene. When Zachary was apprehended, he gave the officers a fake persona, calling himself John Foisey from Connecticut and saying he was born in 1993. This ruse fooled no one, as the woman who was robbed positively identified him later on as her mugger. Zachary was ultimately arraigned in Dorchester District Court on 1 count of unarmed robbery. Prosecutors of the case requested $10,000 cash bail, and bail was set at $500. It was also taken into account that this was not Zach's first run-in with the law. Records show that he was convicted of larceny and had several cases pending against him, involving charges of criminal mischief, driving with a suspended license, and a separate count of larceny and illegally operating a motor vehicle under a suspended license. However, no sentencing for his crimes were listed in any online articles. There are all types of terrifying people out there, capable of unusual and unlawful acts. I, however, stand firm in my opinion that toxic mama's boys might be the most dangerous delinquents out there. Not only were they raised with an overabundance of undeserving confidence, but they also have a loving mother, ready to pick up the pieces of their mess. This recipe for disaster often leads to unhealthy relationships, sure, but at its worst, it can create pathetically petty crimes, as you all heard today. My advice to all the toxic sons out there is to respect your mother as she does you. Rather than giving your mom loads of laundry or loads of bullshit, try giving her loads of love instead.
Wow, this is just the episode of family drama, bad family dynamics.
I know. As soon as you were done with your story, I'm like, well, yours was just a mother and daughter duo. Mine was a mother-son duo, but both of them equally toxic, I would say.
Yeah, toxic moms all over the place. How do you feel that your special Amanda episode for mothers is being tainted with stories of toxic moms?
You know, mine is a little bit opposite of a toxic mom, but in a way of an enabling mom.
Yeah.
Really, my guy was more of the toxic one, but I made it a point in there to not go too easy on the mom, because at some point, I do think people and mothers can easily become enablers to their kids.
Oh, for sure.
I had a hell of a time writing this. I have no idea what his relationship is like with his mother, okay? I don't know what the letter said. I was dying to find out, you guys. I couldn't find it anywhere. And I couldn't even find any of his punishments either. I was like, come on, guys, come on.
Yeah.
But there were so many articles. I mean, this was Daily Mail, Huffington Post. Everyone was sharing it as like a dum-dum for leaving his birth certificate. But the letter to his mother, I don't know. I just really attached to that part. And it could have been anything. Maybe they have a horrible relationship and that's the only letter he's ever gotten. Okay.
She's like, I hope you die.
Yeah. And maybe I just totally fabricated him being a toxic mama's boy. But the fact that he had those 2 items just in an overnight bag, I creatively, like we do, needed to connect the dots. I needed to know how he drove from this place to this place, which I Google mapped it. It's a little over a 2-hour drive. And why it was in the middle of the night and why he had these items. I mean, just as a storyteller, I had to do it. I needed the dots connected. I really don't know how it occurred, but it's wild.
What if he had to go get his driver's license renewed and he just thought he had to have his birth certificate and a letter from his mother to do it?
A letter of approval from Mama.
I hereby declare.
My son can be a pretty good driver sometimes. Please let him have it.
You never know.
You know how, like, you're supposed to bring in, like, a bill?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he's like, oh, letter from Mom. It has my address on here.
Yeah.
But then why are you robbing someone? Is it to get your license renewed?
I don't know about that. Yeah, maybe it's those pesky fees.
Yeah, pesky fees left and right. Regardless, what a creep for following a woman around midnight into a dark playground. Like, what a creep. And also, it didn't explain how he dropped the bags. Most of the articles said that he dropped his overnight bags after he snatched her clutch. But there was one article that said he did it before. So that's why in my recap, I said at some point he dropped the bags.
Yeah, I hate when there's that one that makes you doubt it.
It made me doubt it. And I was not going to put it in the recap like that. But in my mind, I don't know. I just feel like it's more believable to drop it afterwards because you're like running away trying to get away.
Yeah.
But I guess it could have technically happened either way. So that's my fun little take. And I just really wanted to talk about toxic mama's boys this week.
I love that when we take a story and just kind of use its skeleton to say what we want to say. You never know what you're going to get with us. Are you going to get like a personal thing? Are you going to get like 2 weeks ago when I did like the acting out of the champion thing? We just have so many different angles in which we can do our stories.
Yeah.
And I love it. It's not always just like third person storyteller voice sort of thing. We have a lot of fun with what we can do.
Honestly, for both of us, I think connecting each of these crimes to something that is personally going on with us or something that we know, it's just easier to write about.
Yeah.
It really is.
And you get a more authentic version of the author that week since we have to do these weekly.
Exactly, guys. Exactly. So if he's listening, you are a creep, but I don't know if you're a toxic mama's boy, to be fair. Okay?
Okay. Also, I did want to bring up, not related to your story per se, but as we were just saying there, as it does take a lot of time to make this show, I was looking to maybe scatter throughout the year, just have like 1 week where we still put out a new episode, but we don't actually do the full-blown stories. I'm not saying it would be very often. I don't want to take away too much, but it would be really cool if we could kind of scatter in like once every quarter of a year, just 1 week where I don't have to do all the story work.
Yes.
So if you guys have any suggestions of things we can do like 4 times a year, or something like that. Would you like us to try to get an interview with another show and do something with another show? Would you like us to try to do a longer form thing? Like we could do everything and just replace the stories, or we could do a completely different idea for a week in general. I just want to kind of give everybody an idea that if you want to send us an email or a comment or any ideas, totally open. We're just in the brainstorming phase, and who knows, maybe I won't even start doing this until next year, but just trying to get some ideas.
Yes, we love your feedback. It means so much to us. And this isn't necessarily like bonus content. That is still coming.
Right.
It's still in the works. I promise you guys, it really is. This is just something that, like he said, a few times a year, he doesn't have to worry about building the stories and the sounds and the editing every single week. We give him a little breather, but we still want it to be entertaining for you guys. So give us your feedback.
Yeah, I want to give me a break without actually having to make you have a break from us putting out an episode.
Yes, he wants a break from the story portion specifically, really.
Because 2 stories a week takes me about 12 hours on just the stories a lot of times. So, but it's the art and I love it.
I know. But you deserve a break too. We all do.
Yeah.
So, wow, what a week. It's Mother's Day coming up, people. So go love on your mamas. And also, it's going to be my birthday tomorrow. So definitely find me on social media, give our show a review. And just remember, no matter the crime, big or small, in the end, we're all doomed.
Doomed to deal with toxic moms.
Bye.
See ya.
The best gift is laughter. So tell your mom about our podcast, and thanks for listening.
And are you a morning person? Get up early, log into your social media, and give us a follow. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, or Threads. Live, Laugh, Larceny.
Have you ever encountered a toxic mama's boy? If so, send us your story, livelaughlarceny@gmail.com.
And give our show the same way I would rate that steamy make-out rain session. I'm wet. Give me 5 stars wherever you rate podcasts, Apple, Spotify, or Good Pods.
is that gonna be? Oh no.
This is giving me very retro vibes.
I know, seriously.
Sinister.